The following program is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. You can request podcast topics, enjoy exclusive RPG and video content, and more. Even just $1 a month gets you gameplay episodes a week early and makes you officially cool. Just like our Trash Elite, a guy from Ohio, and Rob, DG, Destru City KTL, Kitty Holbrook, Passion Killer 711, and Drake Starstorm. Greetings and salutations. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hello.
This is the Two Nerds podcast, and today I am taking my punishment in the form of Ted 2. Before we get to that, we need to talk about what's crumping.
Well, a few things have been crumping with me recently.
I'd love to hear about them.
One, there's been insufficient crumping around the around the season of JoJo's I should be watching. White said we probably wouldn't get to it in February. I was like, no, I can get through it. He was right. I was wrong. I'm dumb. He's smart. It's not coming in February. Sorry.
I finished it.
He did his bit. Yeah. He did it on time as contracted. I didn't. That's on me. I failed.
I also need to issue a correction. We only have one more season to watch after that.
Yes. The person who is commissioning us to watch that doesn't care about the most recent season. So that's good for us.
Yeah.
I played Diablo 2 a little more. My friend here may have something to mention about that, but he mentioned that playing with a controller, he explained how that worked, and I always played it on PC back in the day, so I decided to give it a shot. Turns out, the controller controls for Diablo 2 were actually really, really, really good and fun.
Yeah, I played it pretty briefly. I was surprised to find that it was, as people said, better than 3 and 4.
Yes, I am extremely smug about that. Quietly, but extremely smug that, yes, I was right, it is just better.
Everything after the first time you said smug did not need to be said.
I wanted to say it because I'm smug.
I don't know if I'm going to play much more of it. It's not really my kind of game. Like, it doesn't have... It's an old game from the 90s, so it doesn't have the quality of life stuff that I would like from a title like that.
The controls do have slightly more quality of life stuff than the PC ones.
Agreed. But, you know, I gotta recognize the truth where it is, that is just a more fun game than the other two. Anything else you've been crumping with?
Nothing in particular, I don't believe. You?
Yes, actually. And it's been a couple weeks since we last crumped. Because last week was more of the tier list for 90s wrestlers, Attitude Era wrestlers, which I have looked into since then, and man, I was just straight up wrong about a lot of the people who I thought shouldn't be on that tier list, and a couple of people who I thought were different people. Oh well, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, look, I'm dumb. I'm comfortable being wrong on the internet. If I was uncomfortable being wrong on the internet, we couldn't do this show.
Well, and like, I mean, look, I love you guys, I do, but this is a 30-minute podcast with an average viewership of 30 people.
We're happy about each and every one of you.
Yes, but I don't need to be doing extra research, stopping to make sure I understand the full career of Jazz before I comment on whether or not I thought she was in the Attitude Era. I think she was a great wrestler, but I guess I thought she showed up later than she did. She was still late Attitude Era, but anyway. I watched the entirety of Freakazoid, and a show I just recently discovered on Tubi called 10 Speed and Brown Shoe.
He has been watching this.
Mm-hmm. I haven't watched the TV movie that was the pilot. I didn't see that on Tubi. If it's on there, I do intend to track it down. But yeah, it was just a fun little buddy cop detective comedy from 1980 starring Jeff Goldblum and Ben Vereen. And I thought it was really well done. Freakazoid is actually coming to Tubi. I had to watch it in my private stash, and go figure, literally like weeks before it's coming to Tubi. I would recommend watching that. It holds up pretty well. Some of the fart humor, not as much, but your mileage may vary. We are talking about Ted today, after all. So for those of you just joining us, because of your deep bonerific love for Ted, this is, I'm watching this as a punishment for, losing the Newlywed Game by a point. the boy gave me my choice of films starring Mark Wahlberg that I could watch. And I chose...
I love this bit so much.
Instead of, The Italian Job?
Pain and Gain.
And Pain and Gain, I chose Ted 2. If I have to choose again, it will be The Italian Job. I don't want to watch Pain and Gain.
Which is hilarious because it's one of The Rock's better movies.
I don't like The Rock anymore.
That's fair.
He just pees everywhere.
He's weird now.
He's just a weird asshole.
He became like a weird old guy.
He just is Vince McMahon too. The other half of Vince McMahon.
I know he's super jacked, but he's like 50. He's just a weird old guy now.
Weird old dude. And he just pees everywhere. I try to retain my pee to one location. The bathroom. Sometimes there are emergencies, but The Rock has decided every waking moment is an emergency. Anyhow, that's a cat. He's here. He's got strong feelings about The Rock. What the fuck was I talking about?
Ted 2.
I gotta watch Ted 2. I did watch Ted 2.
Honestly, the strange, unnecessary, and unexpected sidebar about The Rock's piss is conceptually a really good lead-in to Ted 2.
Yeah. If you didn't see the first podcast, I guess go back and watch it. A brief review. I hated Ted 1. I picked the first time I was forced to watch a Mark Wahlberg movie, Ted, because I had seen a clip of what turned out to be something from Ted 2 and was like, oh no, that sounds pretty good, actually. That clip I saw was funny. And then I think I chortled twice during Ted 1. And it was...
One was a firm nose exhalation.
Yeah.
And then one was a proper... like a three laugh chortle.
Ted 2, I'm pleased to say, is a much better movie. It's not great.
I would say that if you are going to watch Ted, it's on you if you expected it to be great. That's an unfair expectation to put on the Ted movie.
And I'm not saying... when I'm using the word great here, I'm not saying that Ted 2 should be judged against the kind of film that changes your life and the way you think. I'm just saying as a stoner comedy, I've seen a lot better stoner comedies.
I would say it's on par with much of the stoner comedy genre.
It's no Grandma's Boy.
That's fair enough.
It might be... I don't even think it's as avant-garde as Pineapple Express, and I didn't like Pineapple Express that much.
I would say if like the best stoner comedy is This Is the End, it's not as good as that, but it's better than the worst stoner comedies I've seen.
I don't know that I'd say This Is the End is the best stoner comedy.
I can't think of a better one.
It's quotable. Grandma's Boy is really sitting there for me.
I've never seen it.
I don't watch a lot of stoner comedies, though. I'm not a stoner. And I'm not just saying that for the little FBI agent that lives in my computer monitor.
No, we give him little pats on the head.
Yes.
Anyway.
I wanted to go into a long, extended, mildly gross bit about how well we treat the little FBI agent, and I think that's because of Ted 2.
Ted 2 has infected you.
I'm poisoned. I had to shake a Boston accent before we started recording. It does start really well. I'd say the first 45 minutes of this movie are solidly funny. If you like the basic formula of a Family Guy, that part of Seth MacFarlane's writing is really strong in the first 45 minutes of this episode.
I would say the first 45-ish minutes, that's probably a good way of measuring it, of Ted 2 is solidly Family Guy.
Yeah. And I think they do a good job. R-rated Family Guy, but I think they do a good job with it. So basically, do you mind if I real quick run down the plot?
Oh, go for it.
Basically, what's going on here is we start out with Ted getting married to his girlfriend that I forgot about from the last movie. Mark Wahlberg got divorced from his wife from the last movie because she was pregnant and,
had better shit to do than be in Ted 2.
Babying. Ted decides to save his marriage a year later that he wants to have a baby with his girlfriend. And then he can't on account of is a teddy bear. So they try to get a bunch of jizz, and that doesn't quite work out. So she's barren, it turns out. That's not the only reason it doesn't work out. The jizz capers go on longer than you might expect. And then so they go to try to adopt, and the adoption agency's like, I'm sorry, you're not a person.
You're not. You are indeed a teddy bear.
You're a teddy bear, and property can't adopt a baby. That seems like a really horrible standard to set. So they go.
Then that in turn unravels his entire life.
Right. Yeah.
Because it turns out every other functionary until the adoption agency just went, yeah, I guess, fuck it.
So they hire a lawyer who is Amanda Seyfried to help Ted win a civil rights case to become qualified as a human being. That doesn't go well. Ted spirals. Donnie, the pervert from the first movie, shows up and tries to kidnap and have relations with Ted again, and he gets foiled. The end.
Morgan Freeman shows up and makes it so that Ted does get to be a person.
Yes, that's very important for Morgan Freeman's bank account.
And nothing else in Morgan Freeman's life.
So, I just wanted you guys to know what Ted 2 was before we just kind of went on and talked about parts of the movie if you haven't seen it. Because I don't think you necessarily should watch it. But unlike the first film, it never gets as bad as the first film.
We have different experiences of the first movie. I thought it was fine. I thought it had not aged well, but it was a perfectly fine movie.
And there's certainly a couple of things about this film that didn't age well, but it's
there are a couple lines that would be, shall we say, not popular with certain sections of the internet.
I don't even think Seth MacFarlane would endorse them today.
Oh, certainly not.
But it's fine.
Well, most of those are said by people who are not in the universe supposed to be correct when they're saying them, but they are mean to say regardless.
Right. So yeah, once it gets to the actual courtroom stuff, not the case research, that's usually still pretty funny. Once it's the actual court case, it slowly starts getting worse until it becomes pretty fucking boring.
I disagree. I would say not like adamantly. I'm not here to cape for Ted 2, but I don't think it becomes boring. I think it becomes a different genre of movie.
I would agree with that, and I would find that genre of movie boring.
It goes from being Family Guy to being the skeleton that would one day become the Orville.
You know what? I don't think it is the skeleton. I think it's like some of the meat. And some of that meat might be sweet meat, organs, but I don't think it's got the structure that the Orville soared with.
Explain that. Speak to that.
Okay, the super quick version is that the Orville was good. But it's just that, so we talked about this, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. The Orville got the quality it achieved by being earnest and passionate. And
I would say that the reason this movie becomes boring for you is that it becomes more earnest and passionate.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't do it in a compelling way.
Well, I'm not saying they succeeded, and I'm saying this is not the Orville is not here.
Sure,
it is merely what would the kind of narrative that Seth MacFarlane clearly wants to tell that would one day become the actual successful good version, the Orville.
And I wouldn't disagree with that bare bones, but that's like saying. Oh man, this is really tough. The Superman movie, the Man of Steel, and Star Trek, the sad one. Those are the same film because there's space in both.
Well, I'm using the Orville specifically because it's Seth MacFarlane.
Sure.
This is I picked that specifically because the Orville, it's the stories it tends to tell tend to be The earnest, heartfelt sections tend to be about the nature of personhood, what makes us, what brings us together, the things that make us the same, even if we are very different in superficial ways. And the earnest, heartfelt parts of this movie are very much that. And it's the same creator, and it literally does bridge from the thing that made him rich, Family Guy, to the thing he wanted to make, The Orville.
Sure. I just don't want anyone to think that it's good. I don't want them to go, oh, whoa, that sounds great. Family Guy that then becomes The Orville?
It's not a clean transition. I would say it's a pretty rough one.
And I don't think that the ghost, the vapors of future Orville that it exhales amid the weed cloud are qualifiers. It's if you want to say it's the pilot, it's like the Buffy pilot. It's very bad.
I understand. I'm speaking structurally, not towards quality. But you do not wish the Orville a thing you like associated with Ted 2, and that's valid.
Well, and I don't disagree with you. I will say I, to a certain extent, agree with you. That's why I use that phrase, I don't disagree. It's not negging. It's just that it's hard to say I agree with you, that sentence. I'm talking to you, the listener. When I only agree with maybe 10% of what you're saying. I don't want to be on paper having said that. You are correct in saying that it is structurally similar to that show. It's got similar themes.
Honestly, I think that's the reason that the second half falls more flat. Because the Orville's humor isn't Family Guy's humor.
No, it is not.
So it's as if you took the serious, heartfelt portions of that sort of storytelling of the Orville and took out all of its humor and put in cutaway gags and fart jokes. And that's not...
Was there a fart joke?
I'm speaking generally.
Okay.
But they don't mix well.
Sure.
I think that's why the second half falls flat, because the earnest, heartfelt, big emotional speeches about the nature of personhood are being interrupted by these two fucking doofuses.
Well, and there's not even that much interruption for that. I think the pacing in that sense is actually executed with roller coaster like aplomb. I think a larger part of the problem is those meditations on personhood are being delivered about a fucking douchebag.
Like, Ted's a bad guy. He's like a bad person.
He's not a good person. Like, he's a fun protagonist. I'm not trying to be out here character assassinating Ted. He's not supposed to be a good person. He's a shithead. That's the point.
Him and John are both terrible people.
John, slightly better.
Honestly, the protagonists of most comedy movies aren't great people.
Which is why when you do this, Patch Adams like final delivery of heartfelt speech, when it's about an asshole
who literally just like said a slur 35 seconds ago.
Hold on a second. I just realized this is the plot of the B movie.
It's not the plot of the B movie. It's not the plot of the B movie. You are being confused by the fact that there is a courtroom scene in both. And I think that is to your discredit as a human being that you think they're similar.
About as similar as this film in the Orville, I guess.
Nope.
All right, but you got to admit, like specifically the court case section is upsettingly close.
They're about similar things. They are incredibly different thematically.
The Ted cinematic universe is a fascinating place.
I love the Ted cinematic universe because it's a stupid universe filled with idiots.
Maybe that's the other thing, is that this was fun and stupid, and then when they're like, wait, hold on, we're being for serious now.
I'm gonna bring up Dred Scott.
Yeah.
Bro! You fucked the vibe at the party.
Yes. Yeah.
We were all having a good time being dumb and stupid with you, and then you had to make it real. It's real now.
It's
to
like,
quote Ted, the first movie.
It's like listening to an Aerosmith greatest hits album, and then Janie's Got a Gun pops on, and you're like, What can we do? Love in an elevator instead? That's
Kids, can you lighten up a little?
a little bit, yeah. So that's my big criticism. I get. Also, I don't. Okay, there was humor in the second half of this film. There was parts I laughed at. I liked when a guy and his husband were bullying nerds at Comic-Con.
Played by Patrick Warburton dressed as the Tick, and Michael Dorn dressed as Worf.
And they did something that a lot of people would find very funny, and I have no criticism about that. And maybe I'm only drawing this parallel because we all know who created it, but I never liked the Family Guy chicken fights.
I understand that you didn't. You are wrong. They are peak.
Guys, in the comments, can you let me know how many of our podcasts that are discussing a piece of media result in "you are wrong, they are peak, ha 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 ha, Seth Rogen laugh.wav"?
So many. It's one of my favorite bits.
You have a mom sucked me real good through my jorts way of cutting my legs out from under me. How can I come back from that? No, you're a duty head.
No, memes aside, it is one of my favorite memes. I like those. I think they got a little out over their skis. They got a little long.
I think the funniest part about the chicken fight was the first and maybe second one, because the funny part of it was, oh my god, we're doing this, that's so funny. And then it was, oh wow, we're doing this again, that's so funny. And then the third time it was, I don't know, man.
The one with Homer was good. The one where he fights Homer was good.
I mean, you know, it was well choreographed. I'm not saying it's not a good piece of media. And the fight scene toward the end of this was bad. A lot of exciting things sure happened, but
it was funny, but it wasn't a good fight scene.
No, and it wasn't. It was just chaos for chaos's sake.
Yeah, it feels like they had a really tight 90-minute movie, and then they just kind of kept going.
He didn't make me say it, and I appreciate that.
Now, look, sometimes you're being too harsh.
Sometimes it's a bit.
Sometimes it's a bit. No. Like, you didn't need the second courtroom scene. You didn't need as much as I like Morgan Freeman, and I'm sure he liked that paycheck, that whole character was extraneous. You didn't need a bunch of the Comic-Con stuff. There was 90 minutes of movie here that would have been real good, and you really dragged it out.
It really did, and it just wasn't narratively helpful. I don't know that Donnie needed to come back. He was part of some good bits, but like if you cut that subplot, you probably got a movie that does just fine.
It's I'm not sure, like, I'm sure there's a reason he was there. I'm sure there's a reason they wanted to have, like, some physical danger for Ted, probably tested well or some shit. And the Sweet Caroline bit was really fucking good.
I've seen it a lot in, like, trailer and or clip form, so I'm a little tired of it. But, yes, the first time I saw it, no argument. It was a funny joke. I didn't get the repeat of that, the echo.
I think in the first movie he was playing that song a lot.
Okay, I must have
completely zoned out because you hated that movie so much.
I must have done some bleach to the old brain about that one. I mean, look, I said I didn't remember Ted had a girlfriend. I feel like that was probably a big part of the first film.
I don't remember her at all either.
Okay, cool.
To be clear,
so long as we're on the same page about that.
Boy, howdy, what else is there to say about Ted 2?
This is, I'm glad that we're out of Teds.
Yes, Ted the series will not be making an appearance in your punishment options.
No, because if that's on the table...
Right.
I will hurt you.
We're not doing that.
I will
you
conjure
made me watch the fucking B movie. You can't hurt me anymore.
You're welcome. I can hurt you still.
No, I can get in my car. On the podcast, right?
I can strap you into the passenger seat. I can put the keys in the ignition. and I can drive you to the bank. It's coming.
It's not.
It will.
I'm goated. I'll prevent it with winning.
What have you asked if you said on the podcast?
Have I said that the further away I get from the B movie, the more I quote the B movie and fondly remember the B movie?
You know, that's another thing, and maybe I'll feel differently about Ted in the future. I also broke a 29-year streak of not watching the Titanic because I actually like my current girlfriend. And it was a mixed bag. But the further I get from it, the more mixed that bag gets. The more I go, man, those high points were pretty high. Holy shit, those low points were really low. And I feel like as time goes on and I forget the second and third thirds of Ted 2, I might be like, yeah, we had fun watching Ted, huh? That was a fun movie.
If they had cut out the extra movie in that movie, the extra episode of Law and Order,
the Law and Order bit was funny.
The Law and Order bit was
good.
really funny.
Good. It was so weird and broy.
We're a bunch of assholes who take up a whole hallway during our conversation.
It was good.
But that's what I mean. The funny bits of this movie are very funny and quotable and like enjoyable, and they're very in character for these two dumb stoners. And like I would say the heartfelt moments, if they weren't about a complete douche nozzle, would come off like very sincere.
So yeah, that's the thing. I would say these heartfelt moments would be earned if they hadn't started the movie killing a dog, to borrow a JoJo's situation.
They don't kill a dog in this movie. No. That's a reference.
Yeah, Dio Brando. Yeah, everyone talks about how he's the coolest character in the anime. Maybe, but his intro is him killing a dog for no reason. I don't know. Yeah, he's farms all of your auras, but he doesn't. I don't think he's the greatest guy ever. I'm glad he gets his ass kicked. I don't want to see
that dog finally got justice. What happened?
Ted is fine, but like I'm not driven to see him succeed. I don't want him to fail, but it's not like good. Ted gets to be a person. It's more like that sets an important precedent for future Wish toys.
yeah, that's an important civil rights win for this universe full of idiots.
But I do want to reiterate. Maybe we've compliment sandwiched this one. Which I think I first heard of that term from Seth MacFarlane, ironic. But the first 45 minutes, the comedy was tight. The editing was fun, snappy, well-paced. The scenes were plotted well. They let brick jokes rest for long enough so that when they came back, they were really funny. The non-sequiturs, I really enjoyed when they went off on their stupid Monopoly bit. And I like that the guy they were talking to was like, "Are you guys doing Monopoly bit?"
They just kept doing it.
One of my favorite brick jokes was when Mark Wahlberg asked for candy.
That took so long.
Oh, so good. I was so happy that it was the exact same joke, and then he goes 110%. I'm acting really hard right now. Disappointed but understanding about both times. I didn't think I was gonna get that candy. Just with his face. Killer. You don't have to do that. You did. And that's the kind of shit I appreciate. So I don't want to sit here and it just be a repeat of the first podcast. This didn't make me angry. This never made me angry.
No, this was an overall a fun experience. It's just...
Yeah, I'm sure if I toked up on bowls of ganja,
this would be...
I would have been nicely napping by the second half and not noticed that it was bad.
But it's... This movie suffers from the same problem that the movie Hancock suffers from.
I've not seen that, but I don't care about spoilers.
It's two different movies welded together badly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It really does seem like he wanted to do two different things, and they weren't interwoven well.
They don't mix well in the first place, and they didn't do a great job mixing them. And the two bits are on their own competently done, but they bring each other down.
I suppose it is kind of like you were watching Family Guy, and then up next was an episode of Law and Order, and for some reason the Law and Order people are defending Peter Griffin.
Who is a monster.
Yeah, and also you're halfway into the Law and Order and going, is this a bit? Is this still Family Guy?
Is this just the longest couch gag in history?
What is going on here? No, he's doing the chicken fight at Comic-Con. I think this is still Family Guy.
Is this still Law and Order?
Was it ever Law and Order?
They did the whole sequence. They did the boom boom. There was the whole intro, but they weren't talking over it the whole time.
No, these are the Law and Order credits. I think this was... What is this crossover? Why is this crossover?
This is that's this long. This is two movies who desperately are trying to get away from each other, who have been welded together, and they're both good. I'd say the Family Guy one is better.
Yeah, it was a boring episode of Law and Order. It was a dry episode of Law and Order. I've never actually seen an episode of Law and Order. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It was not an especially dry episode of Law and Order.
Okay.
Those things are light toast.
I had a final thought I wanted to close with. If you are a Seth MacFarlane fan, I would say if you haven't already seen this movie, which I would find surprising, maybe check it out just as sort of anthropology lesson in the man himself. Because you really do, as you brought up earlier, get to see that bridge between his Family Guy, American Dad roots and then into more serious projects.
And you really don't need to watch the first one. It's fine.